So the next step is to tighten these studs in place. Doug from FrankenTurbo provided us with some nuts to actually hold down the bolts into the manifold. So what you want to do is put one nut on the stud first. And then thread it in to place. It's a 17 millimeter. So just thread the nut into place until you get about 5 or 6 threads in that go over the nut. Once you do that, you stop right there. Hold on. And then put another nut on top of that. Doing this locks the nut in place and it will allow you to torque the stud down or spin the stud even further down. Eventually, when the stud is on there too tight, the other nut will spin with it. This will allow you to put that stud in there nice and tight. And then what you do is before you take off the nut, you hold the bottom one so you can take the top one off.
Yeah.
Yep. So you don't loosen the stud again. Alright guys, and this is how you're going to install the studs on the F23 Turbo. Alright guys, so the next thing is we're going to test fit the turbo. And the big problem you're going to fall into doing this test fit is the heater line. The hard line below, you're going to have to pull it away from the engine about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. And then what you're going to want to do, once you pull it away from it, the turbo still won't fit. You're going to need to loosen one of the bolts underneath it. Just a couple spins to give you some more play to mount the turbo into place. And remember, we're doing a dry fit, so this is not perfect because we want to make sure when we actually put it on the car, it will be perfect. So the next thing is pull that bolt out a little bit more, like 3 threads. Come on. Okay, so now it gives us a bit of play with this hard line. I got it. No. So now what we're going to do is start mounting the turbo onto the manifold. 3 holes, put them straight up. And then when you're over here, you'll see that hard line trying to hit the turbo, the inlet pipe. We just got it to pass. You see that? I mean, you're looking at like 1 millimeter or 2 of just space. You're gonna have to bend that line down now. Once you get the turbo past it, now you gotta push it down because the turbo inlet pipe has to fit in that hole. So you gotta get that to pass. So the next thing is to fit the turbo inlet. Mount the turbo though with some of the nuts that you got provided with. And that way, this will allow us to do a proper, like I was saying, a proper dry fit on this car. And now what you want to look for is making sure this seals 100% and everything else clears. So there you see this little gap here on the manifold to the turbo. We got to make sure that actually seals all the way. Once you guys bolt up the manifold to the turbo, don't torque it to spec. Just make sure it just gets nice and tight, and then start on the fitment on the turbo inlet side over here, and we'll get you that right now. Alright, so we dry fitted the manifold to the turbo. Now we're going to do a dry fit from the inlet pipe to the turbo inlet pipe. The big old 3-inch pipe that FrankenTurbo provides you with. Now you'll see another issue. The hard line now does not allow the turbo inlet pipe to go in. Like we did earlier, we loosened this bolt here. And what we're going to do is that we're going to pull down on the hard line. And we're going to bend it from this little metal part. Make sure you don't mess with this hard line over here. This keeps the alignment from the O-ring that's over there. So all we're doing is messing around with this general area, and this will allow us to make that inlet pipe fit. So now what we're going to do is bend straight down, pull straight down on this, and bend it about right there, and slide the turbo inlet pipe in. You'll notice there's a little screw fitting here. We're going to cut that off so it doesn't rub on the inlet pipe. Grab a little hacksaw, or if you have a cutting wheel, just cut it right off. It does not hurt the line if you take it off. Like I was saying, we gotta do, all this has to be dry fitted first before we do any other work. Push it in, just push it in, baby. Still not in. Ow. Just got to give it a couple more tries, and once that slides in, we're golden. We don't want to bend that line too much. Since it is a hard line, we can try to salvage it as much as we can without ruining it. And there we go, guys. Dry fitted on the car, on the engine. Turbo inlet pipe to turbo to the manifold. Pretty sure. All right, everybody. One thing that does not come with your FrankenTurbo kit is the exhaust port side of the turbo. You're going to need 3 bolts here. I'm showing you this here, so you guys can order these on ECS Tuning. They're fairly inexpensive. They're exhaust studs right here, and exhaust bolts or nuts. We ordered them to do this kit to do this job quickly. So same way that you did the studs on the turbo to the manifold is going to be to the turbo to the exhaust downpipe. So we got them right here. Here's the studs. Same process like I was showing you earlier, doing the studs on there. Just repeat that. You'll be golden. There's going to be 3 of them. We also ordered the gasket for it. You're going to need to order the Audi TT gasket from the 225 horsepower model, which is a 3-bolt flange gasket. You see right here. Here's a picture of the model, part number and everything. So you guys can order that. You're going to need that to seal in the downpipe. What comes included from FrankenTurbo is the up pipe. This will allow you to use the your stock downpipe. As you can see right there, bolts right up, and then now you can use your stock downpipe without buying a special custom made one or trying to get one from like eBay or Amazon. This is much better for everybody else. It mounts in the factory location, so less work for you guys to do. So you see right here, we're putting the first nut on, and then like the previous process, put a nut on first, get a couple threads, and then put the other nut on top of it. This way you can actually tighten down that stud and make sure that it doesn't come back out when you're, tightening or loosening anything when you're working on your car, if you ever have to work on the exhaust portion of this car when you finish your build. Just repeat the process onto the other 2 studs, and you'll be set. Couple more spins, and then you attach the other nut on top of that, and then tighten that bad boy down. Just the top one. Leave the other one alone. And you'll notice that the stud spins. This is how you get that stud in there nice and tight. The moment the nuts only spin and the stud doesn't spin, you are down to spec pretty much. That's it, you're done. And then take it off, reverse the process. And then repeat onto the other studs.